Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where unfortunately I seem to have lost our save from the last mission. I'm not entirely sure why, but here we are. We're back on the pad and we've got the payload in here, so we're basically ready to launch this, but I've used this opportunity to do a couple of upgrades here. So you'll notice some separatrons over here, you'll notice some tail fins as well as this reaction wheel module here. So the idea here is that we're now capable of hot staging these about 3 seconds before they burn out, and we don't have to carry them nearly as far. I'm also switching over to using MechJeb for these launches. We've done this a bunch of times, and I think MechJeb will just speed things up tremendously. So we can just set the ISS as our target. I'm going to set our orbital altitude to about 200 kilometers here. We're still going to manually rendezvous. I just want to get us up into this orbit. So we're just going to launch into plane of target, which will be in about an hour, looks like. That's fine. So it'll auto warp us around to the correct launch time for this. And that'll mean that A, we skip the inclination change, and B, we don't have to manually do this warp. Just in general, that should make this liftoff procedure significantly faster, which is good. We've done this a bunch of times, and we have a bunch more to go. It should also be more efficient as well. So that's all absolutely excellent. We're going to be launching here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. And off we go. Excellent. So MechJeb, of course, will rotate us around. MechJeb is also better than me at controlling the offset thrust. It's not perfect, I will say that. Especially once our SRBs detach, we still have an issue with a lot of oscillation around that center point. I'm not sure there's much we can do about that with this particular design. I think it just largely is what it is. But there's no actual problem with it there. Now, one thing I did note, and I'm probably going to think about removing these canards, we lose the canards when we detach. I've been detaching at about 3 seconds left in this burn time. That seems to be a pretty decent time in my testing to do so. And the separatrons, of course, their goal is to push away from here and out from the wings. So hopefully, between that and the fact that we still have our forward thrust, we don't impact the wings. That's the idea. To be clear, that is a problem that they had in reality, with the SRBs, or at least components from the SRBs, impacting the heat shield on the space shuttle. That led to the loss of at least one shuttle that I can think of. On re-entry, the vehicle was lost due to a damaged heat shield. That's not strictly speaking the problem that we're having here, but it's a very similar sort of problem for the similar sort of reasons, right? So that's absolutely great. I want to check in on our ascending-descending node right now. It is not bad at 11 degrees. We are, of course, expecting it to be very, very close to the correct inclination, but we're only taking this up to 200 kilometers. We'll manually do the rendezvous. I don't really care too much about, like, launching directly to the station. That's not very high on my priorities right now, shall we say. After all, we do need to reconfigure for orbital flight, and there's all that nonsense. So I think it's much easier if we just get into a reasonable orbit with MechJeb and then take over from there. Now, we've got about 7 seconds, so we're detaching at 3, 5, 4, and 3. And there we go. As I said, we lose those canards, and they burn off for a couple of seconds there. And yeah, like I said, oscillation around this center point. That is, I think, fine. I think there's no major issue there. So we're just going to push this apoapsis right on up, and I want to check in on our inclination right now. 1.7 degrees. It's currently going up. We'll see if MechJeb corrects that. I think that probably has to do with this oscillation. Now, at this juncture, the thrust limiter is a little too high. We should probably have this turned, or not the thrust limiter, the gimbal limit. We should probably have this turned down to about 10% at this point. We could do that, but we're not in space just yet. We probably should try it. So I'm going to take this down to 10%. Oh, just that one. Oh, they're all linked. Never mind. For some reason, I thought that they weren't linked. Okay, 10% is clearly too little. We'll see about 33. And also we can turn on corrective steering. 33 feels relatively okay. 1.1 degrees on the ascending node. Yeah, that seems absolutely fine. No problem there. And yeah, we don't have that huge amount of oscillation at this point. There's a little bit of oscillation, but it seems relatively controllable. So that's absolutely great. So that's noted that 33 works pretty well there. And we're not carrying those SRBs anywhere near as long as we were previously. So that is magnificent. Very, very pleased about that situation. We are, of course, still pushing up our apoapsis here. We're at about 80 kilometers right now, and it's not going up very far. But you'll note just how far we're sitting above the horizon here. We're sitting above the horizon approximately 20 degrees, and you might ask, why is that? It's because this is offset at exactly 20 degrees. So you can see here that the engines are actually pushing us horizontally instead of pushing us somewhat up as well. This is one of the reasons why this is going to be significantly more efficient. Also, launching into the correct inclination is just better. So 0.6 degrees, I'm hoping that the inclination is going to be good enough that we can just skip any sort of inclination change. That would be ideal here. And of course, now we're coasting to the edge of the atmosphere. Now we're at the edge of the atmosphere, and we're coasting to our circularization burn, which we can see right here is going to be 133.5 meters per second. So this is going to be a significant amount of fuel left in this tank at this juncture, which is absolutely great. I want to check that ascending-descending node. Currently half a degree. Okay, that seems absolutely fine. I'm going to physics warp our turn here, because it's kind of on the slow side. There we go. Looks solid. Oh, I did want to... did I mention it? I may have mentioned it, that I changed the deployment mechanism in here a bit too. So that should be a little bit better as well. And we're probably going to reuse that deployment mechanism in the future. So definitely a few upgrades here, all things considered. We've got about 4 seconds left until our circularization burn. We may want to consider changing... I'm just thinking about this here. Okay, this is good enough. I'm going to disengage the autopilot from here. We're in orbit. We're in a pretty decent orbit. All is looking good there. We're going to go to kill rot. We don't need the ascent guidance up anymore. Now the question is, half a degree off, how does things go if we just go for a rendezvous? The answer is kind of decent. Sometime around here, in theory. Yeah, 8.4 kilometers. We can work with that. So that sounds absolutely fine. We're just going to warp right on around. And as you can see, much, much quicker doing things this way. I like it. So we could burn off of this if we wanted to, or we could configure for spaceflight now. We have plenty of fuel in this thing, but I'm going to ditch it. Goodbye, and we're going to send Bill over to reconfigure for spaceflight. That will make things a lot simpler for us, and simpler is generally better. Generally. So we're going to grab on here. We're going to reconfigure 1, 2. That's not the right one. 2, 3, and 4. Cool. And then we're going to move this right on down to 0. Phenomenal. And we'll re-strut this in just in case. I don't think this step is strictly speaking necessary, but I prefer it just for safety's sake. I don't want this thing flapping around under our thrust vectoring. So that would be a bad thing. Just going to put one in here, and it doesn't really matter where these go as long as it's anchored down, right? So there we go. And now we can head on over to the shuttle. And we can hop right on in. Phenomenal. Okay, now we can align to the node. We, of course, are going to have an easier time turning without this tank, so that's absolutely great. And we'll warp on forward. Rendezvous with the station at 129.1 meters per second. Not bad at all. Now, to be clear, I don't think we actually save any fuel at all doing things this way because we had spare fuel in the big orange tank anyway. Now we just have more spare fuel in the big orange tank. But what it does do is save a significant amount of episode time, which is great. I mean, this is episode 100. We should get a move on here, no doubt about it. So we've got about 4 seconds, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. A little overpowered on the engines, no doubt about that. I'm going to thrust limit this down to about 10%. Okay, we'll call this, how are we doing here? 7.1 kilometers. It's good enough. We're going to warp around to here. Going into target modes, relative velocity minus, and there's the station right there, actually. Hello, station. So that's about 28 kilometers away. Looks great. We can definitely do a corrective burn out over here. Whoa, hang on a moment. These are not all linked in the thrust limiter. Okay, I assumed that they were because they were linked in the gimbaling, but okay. We'll just get that thrust limiter a bit more under control. There we go. Now we can get back into position. We're still about 24 kilometers out, so nothing too major there. And let's just get this corrective burn done here. There we go. That is significantly closer. 2.8 kilometers, allegedly. Okay. Well, let's just warp ahead a couple of minutes here. Okay, we're about 7 kilometers out, and we can push it this direction a wee bit. Cool. Now we need to get a little bit more vertical. Not that vertical, though. It was a little overkill on the vertical. So somewhere around here will do. Relative velocity minus. We're only 63 meters per second apart now. How are things looking there? 0.2 kilometers. That is not very far at all. Okay. We'll call that good for now. Let's just load this right on in. Phenomenal. There's the station loaded. Going into kill rot for now. And I'm going to do another small corrective burn here. This is going to get us somehow even closer. There we go. Relative velocity minus. And we're currently 1.3 kilometers out. We should probably begin our braking burn here. 40 meters per second. 30. 20, 10, now, and just bringing it down to about 5. Okay, cool. We can warp in a little bit further here, 700 meters as of now. 600, 500, 400, 300, 200. We'll come out of warp here. And this is about 200 meters apart right now. Looks like we're coming in on the bottom side of the station, which is not exactly where we want to be, but it is okay. We want to be at our Destiny laboratory module, but on the other side of that, right? So right up over there. Let's just bring this to a halt for right now, and then we can head out towards the Destiny module. So I want to head towards target. And I'm going to rotate us around here so that we're tail down. So something along the lines of this. Now, I don't want to burn exactly at the target. I want to bring this slightly down. I can definitely tell by the frame rate that I need to restart the game. It's been a while. It took a bit to get that revised shuttle launch set up correctly. But let's just head down over here for now. Yeah, the frame rate is not ideal right now, but it'll do for the moment. And we're going to turn on our RCS. And we can certainly warp a little bit here. We want to slightly overshoot in this direction. Yeah, somewhere around here or so. So I'm beginning a braking burn. We're going to want to go up from here, of course. So let's just bring this all the way around to 0. 0.6 meters per second, 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, 0.2, 0.1, and 0. Okay. Now we're going to look to go a bit up from here. Please stop it. Kill rot. I don't care about going to the relative velocity right now. Right now what I want is to go up. More specifically, down from the shuttle's perspective. So we're just going to go down at about 0.5 meters per second. We want to get up to the other side of the station here, right? So something along the lines of this will do. We can also open up our cargo bay here. Okay, we might have to fold the Canadarm out of the way. This radiator is very likely going to need to be folded out of the way. But we can see that we are passing up onto the correct side now. Just giving it a little bit of extra time here, and let's begin the braking burn now. 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay. Now, I want to turn us around here. We're going to want to come in not tail first, if we can at all help it. The tail is going to be a bit of an issue for us. No doubt about that. And I want to think about how this thing actually gets deployed as well. So let's get zoomed in here. And I want to... Well, we're going to have to unstrut this, right? So that's step 1. We're going to need to unstrut this. So that'll come out here. So strut number 1, just attach to something. I don't care what, as long as it's not this thing. Okay, strut number 2, strut number 3, and strut number 4. I'm not sure what this strut is attached to. Cannot detach it due to part attachments. What is this strut attached to? I'm not actually sure. Let's find out if it's attached to this. So the way that we'll find out is by just rotating this out to 90 degrees. What is happening right now? Okay, it must be attached over here. That's the only thing I can imagine here. So, in that case, we'll need to get that solved. How are we going to solve this? I don't even know what this strut is connected to. Is that this strut here? This guy? I think it might be that guy. Which means that this strut is connected to it, right? So I'm just going to connect this up here. And I think now we can remove that. Yes, that was the correct strut. So that's great. Now we should be able to deploy this. Yeah, there we go. Now it's actually moving. Beautiful. So let's put that at 90 degrees. And I also want to extend out this arm that I had previously mentioned, right? So we're just going to push that all the way out here, and we can see it is connected with this decoupler. I also have this Clampetron docking port junior here, so the docking ports are quote-unquote correctly set up. What is not correctly set up right now is the grab arm. So I'm going to have that be from this side, I think. Let's see. It's going to need to go here with these facing out, right? So in order for that to happen, we're going to need to not rotate like that. Also, that's horrible, and I want to strut this into position. Okay, let's get that strutted here. Oh, we can't warp because there's a Kerbal on the ladder. Right. Okay, well, that's fine for now. Let's swap to the Kerbal. Okay, and let's get this strutted on approximately here. That's about straight. Now, that didn't fully solve the wiggle issue, so I'm going to strut it over here as well. Okay, so something like that. Now we'll hop back in. And with that in place, I want to think about how this needs to be installed, right? So if we install it like... What are we controlling from? Control from here. I want to do this. There we go. So if we install it like this, right? This is going to be actually backwards. So it needs to be installed from the other direction. So we need to just rotate it around to be installed this way. This side needs to be facing out from the Z0 truss. So we would rotate it to go like this. And then we would want to nose up a little bit here and get it angled correctly. Okay, so obviously this is not in the correct orientation, right? We'll need to get it about here or so, but we need to further rotate this in this direction, like that. And we definitely need to back off a little bit here. So I'm going to do exactly that. We're going to back up slightly. There we go. We're going the other direction now. Okay. Boy, this really likes to overshoot. Okay, about there. So about there, now we're going to turn the RCS off, and I'm going to nose this direction a little bit. So it needs to be something like that, right? It needs to go forward a little bit. So from our perspective, that is up a little bit. So this direction. Cool. So we want this to be in line with the rest of the station. So we just very gently drift it here. And we're going to need to put in our grab arm over here. That is absolutely going to be the next step. I just want to get this approximately in position here. Okay, a little further. Hang on. Hang on. We've got a problem here. Okay. The problem is this. So we need to do some retractions here. We're going to retract this Gigantor. We're going to retract this radiator. Okay. Next. I don't know what our velocity is at this juncture. But it's like this way and like this way. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, so we need to go back this direction a wee bit. There we go. Bringing it approximately to a halt. I want to roll this way ever so slightly. About here. That is approximately in line. Okay. Now, we need to know what direction we're moving. We're moving backwards a little bit, so let's go this way. And I think we're moving up a little bit as well. Okay, about there. I'm going to have Bill EVA now. And we're going to grab this arm. We can just attach it over here for the moment. And then, yeah, I know that this is going to build up some velocity. We can attach this guy here, and then attach this grab arm to go here. Okay, we'll hop back in. And now we are going down, I believe, a little bit. And I think... Are we going this way at all? I want to be going this way. So we would go this direction a little bit here. And actually, we can see right here our directionality. So that's actually quite good. I'm going to see about bringing this over. It disappeared on us. That is very unfortunate. Okay. We need to come this direction then. Gotcha. Okay, so now we know what way we're going. That is good. We are going away. So now we need to come back in a little bit here, going at 0.1 meters per second right now. And I'm going to extend this guy out. And we're going to arm our grab arm. We are in approximately the right location. I do want to go this direction a bit. Cool. Little further. About here or so. Bringing it back. And I'm rotating us a little bit to be a little bit more bang on. And there we go. That is our positioning right there. So I'm going to quick save here in case we physics this thing to pieces. Hopefully we don't. And we're going to turn this traverse rate down. And we're going to reduce our target. Actually, I'm going to leave the target extension here. I'm going to quick save just in case this release here causes issues, but I'm going to decouple this now. Okay. So in theory, we're detached now. One thing that did not happen, and our crew is missing here, but we're going to have Bill currently EVA. One thing that did not happen is these struts didn't get taken off. So that's definitely noted. I'm going to remove those. No, don't go there. I don't care where you go. Just don't be attached to that. Okay. Now we're going to hop back in here. And I'm going to hope that if we retract this, we're not we're still connected. Why are we still connected here? We should not be connected to this thing anymore. This decoupler didn't actually decouple. Why didn't you decouple? That's very awkward. I wonder if we could use, like, physics cheats to break just this telescoping hydraulic cylinder. We could try it. It might create substantial other issues up over this way, particularly with this radiator and this photovoltaic panel. I would want to toss it this direction. This decoupler should have detached us. 100%. We're still attached right now, and we shouldn't be. So what I'm going to do here, I guess, is I'm going to open up our cheats menu here, and we're going to go into the object thrower. And we can throw cubes at this thing. I'm going to quick save because this could break everything. It just clips through. Maybe slower speed? I mean, I guess? We need to get some distance here from... Actually, that kind of worked. Sure, we'll take it. It shouldn't have, but it did work. So we can retract that down, and the station is currently tumbling a bit from it. We can put the station onto Killrot. And what I want to do now is I want to retract this right on down. We're going to have to strut this into place, right? I also want to turn this angle to be, like, out over here for now. Just get out of the way. Okay. So this needs to get strutted into place. No doubt about that. I don't know why that decoupler didn't actually decouple correctly. That's very strange. But sure. We'll have Bill EVA here. And actually, we're going pretty far away from the station right now. So I want to set something on the station as our target. It doesn't really matter what, but we can set that as a target. We can go to relative velocity plus because I can see it right here. So we're going to head on over to relative velocity plus, and we're just going to kill that relative velocity. So we can just start braking here. Something about like that. Cool. And now we can hop over. We do need to strut that truss segment down, right? And did anything important break? Because something exploded there, but I don't think it was anything important. I think it was actually just the decoupler, which was supposed to not be there anyway. Okay, so we're just going to detach from there, and we're going to head over to the station, wherever that is. There it is. And over we head. Fantastic. So we're going to need to land on this ladder here. It's a little higher up than I had envisioned. Oh, we're going to impact that pretty hard. Okay. It's actually fine. So this is a little higher up than I had envisioned. At this point, there's not really going to be any changing of it, though. So I guess it's okay for now. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the other side over here. It's not very useful on this side. Of course, it's not very useful in reality. So that's fine. And then we want to strut this on, right? So this is actually only strutted on in reality. So we can do something like this. We can do something like this. And I'm actually going to do 2 more struts, as usual. I'm going to do one from here. And that'll strut on... Actually, I'm going to strut this on over here. Just to make sure that we have a lot of rigidity between these various components. So something along the lines of that would do. I don't really love that positioning for that strut, though. So I'm actually going to redo it over here. Okay. So no real problem there. It's a little higher up than I wanted it to be, but I think overall that's not a bad position for it. Now, next up, I do want to get rid of the docking port that is currently out over here. I don't know why this is green right now. And I don't know why Bill has decided to face this way. But whatever. Okay. I want to be over on this side. I want to grab this docking port and store that here. I want to actually put back this communications dish. So that'll do. Excellent. And that is actually this mission complete. We don't have anything else that we want to do here. Bill can head on back. There's nothing else for him to do. Because that is this strut completed. I like it. Now, the return journey is still going to have to be in another episode, but that was definitely, I think, a lot quicker of a shuttle mission. So that's absolutely wonderful. We're going to hop back in here, and I do want to re-extend these bits that we unextended just for safety purposes. And I'm glad we did that, for the record. And there we go. That is our space station, good to go. It's currently, like, literally upside down. I want to roll it on over here a little bit. Like I said, it's literally upside down right now. So we actually want it to be about here. Okay, cool. So that is our station further along. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.